everyone, this is PenMark and welcome to another Drawing Dragons. In the last episode you saw me do the research phase where I looked up a bunch of pictures of reptiles and you saw me draw them and study them. To be honest, the next phase was a little unclear to me because I'm still getting used to these instructional videos. So I went with what I'm used to and I did a painting as an example to work on. So in this video, you're going to watch me go ahead and dissect this picture. I'm going to tear it to pieces and show you how to build it from the bottom up. How to take a blank sheet of paper and how to get to this. So let's get started. So, like I've mentioned before you get to any tiny details, you want to think of the basic form first. And that doesn't just mean each character, like this giant dragon and this tiny little rabbit thief. But bigger than that, you want to look at the form of the whole picture. So, one way to do that is the rule of thirds, which I will show you right now. To put it simply, the rule of thirds is dividing your picture into a tic-tac-toe board. So you do 2 lines vertically and 2 lines horizontally. Try to get it as exact as you can so that it's divided into thirds. And technically it's in 9 pieces. The rule of thirds means that your focal point will lie on the intersections here. Doesn't have to be exact, but it's to help you avoid putting something in the smack dab center. You don't have to follow these rules for every single picture you do, but the goal is that your picture will feel more natural. When you put something smack dab in the center, it makes your picture feel like it's being posed for a photo shoot. Whereas if you follow the rule of thirds here, it makes your picture very natural, as if you just walked in on a natural scene. So like you can already see here, my dragon head is close to this focal point, and my little rabbit thief is close to this focal point. These are rules to help you, but as you see fit and as you experiment, you can break these rules. But they're very useful at certain times. So there's the rule of thirds. Now, when you're finding the shape of your picture, where the pieces go, that's called composition. The composition here started out knowing that I wanted a dragon to show you guys. And I wanted it to be a very big dragon. So I knew it would be towering over somebody, so I drew some sort of triangle shape pointing down because I knew it's bigger than everything else. So it's looking down, and I figured to help scale the picture, if I drew a tiny little rabbit here, it makes the dragon look bigger. Scale is important. If you want something to look big, put a bunch of small things next to it. If you want it to look small, like if I wanted this dragon to look small, I'd put a giant planet next to it. Now this dragon looks kind of small. I don't know why the dragon's in space, but just roll with it. So this dragon is looking down at a little thief. And I'm loosely following the rule of thirds. Loosely. Now, I knew the dragon would be towering over this little rabbit, so its neck would be bending. So I had it kind of hunched over, and I was like, okay, what do I do from there? Well, I want the dragon to fill most of the picture. So I tried to go back towards the empty space over here. There's so much empty space. So I was like, okay, this direction. So I just kind of loosely have a box shape, just a box. To go, okay, the dragon's going to be somewhere like this. Now, for most animals, they have the same kind of skeleton structure. So I used a cat pose to help me with this picture. I figured this dragon is hunkered down in its nest, in its cave, so I have its arms kind of tucked under it like a cat. And I have my own cat as reference. It's really useful. And I also use that for the back leg. I knew it would kind of be just relaxed next to it. So you've got a big leg here. And I also knew it needed a tail. And this helps with the composition. I figured the tail should wrap around and loosely point back to this tiny little rabbit, because your audience at first will be looking at the dragon and may not notice small details. If you want them to notice small details, You need ways of subtly bringing them back towards it, so that no matter where they look on the picture, their eye will move towards the other focal point. So one way to do this was to have the tail wrap around. And it also kind of helps bring back the rule of thirds of not going too far off the page or anywhere else. It brings it back to one of the other focal points. So that was really useful. And another way to help the picture kind of wrap back towards that rabbit was the wings. So they're kind of also pointing in the direction of the tail. And again, look, they're literally just triangles. But it helped me get an idea of where the wings are going to be. And as you can see, when I peel away these clues, I've loosely fit where everything's going to be. Okay, now to show you how I did some of the details from my research on those reptiles in the last episode. So I have another tab under here, and first we have a happy little alligator. He helped me a lot in figuring out how the dragon's mouth would be shaped. I also used some of the texture, but for the most part I looked at what is its mouth. What is the shape of its mouth? How do its teeth fit within it? So, biggest thing I liked is that, as you can see, it's a trapezoid triangle. It starts big at the back and it got smaller as you go forward. Same with this as well. It starts big in the back and it gets smaller as you go forward. That helped me a lot because it's been a while since I drew dragons, and this helped me get back in the groove. Another picture I used, you saw from the last episode, is the Komodo dragon. This fella helped me a lot with the torso and the legs, as I'll show you right there. You can see how they have a similar body shape. And the big thing I liked was that you could see some of the ribs indicated there. You could see how they had a point halfway through. They went outward, got to that middle point, and then went down underneath. Another thing I liked a lot about the Komodo dragon were all the folds in its body. So I noticed like stuff like that. It had a big bunch of folds of scales, and then it had its limbs. So I thought that was really useful. And you don't want to copy, because obviously I have a different pose up there. But it helped me get a feel for it. Another picture I used, you saw from the last episode, was our little iguana lizard dude. I liked with him that he has groups of scales. That you have big ones here that kind of define his features, his or her features, along with some of these spikes back there. So when I got to my dragon, I tried to do the same thing. I tried my best to follow the form of the dragon. I had big scales here, a lot of really nice scales flowing along his eye, his or her eye. So I'm creating a form to follow. And that helps it feel more lifelike. That you've got some big scales that form along major details, major features like the jaw or the neck. Whereas in areas that are just kind of to fill space, you do a lot of smaller scales. And the research for the lizard helped me a whole lot there. I hadn't really considered the grouping of scales when drawing dragons in the past. When I drew dragons back in high school and college, I didn't think much about that. So this definitely helped. Another thing that helped me was this bat wing. Because as you can see here, it actually kind of follows the shape of fingers. If you think of a hand, you have a thumb and then each finger, like that. So in the same way, a bat wing kind of follows that too. You have an elbow right here. You have a thumb, and then you have fingers that branch out. In the same way, when I was drawing this dragon's wings, I followed that same form. I thought about the thumb, the arm, the elbow, the upper arm, and then thought of fingers that have a kind of joint to them as you go down. And the flaps underneath it, as you can see, kind of follow with it, fold up and crinkle up because the dragon's wings are folded. Another thing that helped me figure out the shape of the dragon's wings is a human arm. I thought of the bicep up here, you know, when you see someone flexing their muscles, that big bulge, that's the bicep, and the back underneath it is the tricep that uses to, you know, your punching muscle. And I've got a big shoulder, kind of deltoid right there. So technically you could see this dragon, I'm gonna have fun, as kind of here are its arms, its chest is kind of here, and here's its face. You could technically see the picture like that, as like this dragon's flexing his muscles going like, yeah, look at me. Yeah. You could see the dragon doing that. Like, you see what I mean? It's like, it technically makes sense with the form. Doing research just means finding puzzle pieces to fit into your picture. So, that's what I have right here. I showed you some of how I took my research, took my knowledge of basic shapes, and built the structure of this dragon. Let me know what you want me to cover next, or how you want me to move on, and leave a comment for that down below so that I can know. I hope you all enjoyed this, a little peek into what I do when doing a painting, and I will do my best to make a new video as soon as I can. Thanks for watching, everybody. This is PenMark, and I will see you next time.